Islam, Islamism, Muslim, I think they're all the same. It's so wide what is wrong with Islam. They're not allowed to go outside, marrying your cousin, continual brainwashing, cult behaviour.
We're victimised, we're tarnished, we're targeted. It's like, no, you're taking the piss.
This is our community. This is our country. Strategically, I do things like ban halal, prayers in the street, and no call to prayer. In order to be a good Muslim, it's Muslim first. They're a globalist cult. You either think men can be women or you don't. You either think that you should pump kids full of drugs or you don't. They're all a bunch of perverts and fetishists. I mean, what are they going to do to their mum and dad and everybody when they find out that there is no vagina at the end of the rainbow? They're never going to look in the mirror and see a woman, because they're not. Your parents allow you to get cross-sex hormones. Your penis doesn't grow, so you've got a child's penis, and then you get to the end of it and you realise you're never actually going to be a woman, but you're also never going to have an erection or fancy anyone. No sexual function whatsoever. I mean, I'd feel quite murderous.
What's the biggest threat to women? Leftism or Islamism? For the last year, I've been working with Ryan from 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐿, and now they're sponsoring our channel so we can keep bringing you these conversations. 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐿 are the #1 mentoring program that teaches you e-commerce step by step where no previous experience is necessary. Whilst working with 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐿, I've seen life-changing money be made and community members free up more time to spend with their families. A successful business is not built overnight, and you would need to put in the work before reaping the rewards. The more you put in, the more you get out. The community are full of like-minded people, all striving for success and all willing to help each other. 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐿 offer one-on-one training, online courses and group seminars so you get all the support you need to succeed. If you're looking for a new opportunity, get in touch with Ryan via Instagram at @RyanJB, and he'll take you through all the steps to building your own successful business. Kellie-Jay Keen, you're back. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
You're the founder of Let Women Speak.
Yes, I am.
So who is currently speaking for women when you've got men that can pretend to be women?
Well, a few women are speaking for women. I don't speak for women. I speak to women in the hope that they'll speak for themselves. So that's kind of a bit of a difference with me and maybe other women who campaign or are activists. That I just think women know their own story. They know that what they want to say, and they can say it better than other people. So they should speak.
And are you still heavily into objecting to the trans ideology?
Yes, I am, but the conversation's moved, because I think my job was to open the conversation, was to shift the Overton window, and I think I did that quite successfully. I'm not the only one, but I probably am the best. But I've done that, and so I think there are other unsayable things that we need to talk about. But, you know, there's still what I would call troons. So there's still men in dresses in schools. There's still the ideology in schools. There's still the ideology throughout the police force, the NHS, and so on. And now I think it's going to be like we've put out the fire, which is the silence. So we put that fire out, and now we're having to clean up, which is a lot more arduous and time-consuming and dull.
Did you ever get approached by schools? I'd imagine you don't, because they're left and they're woke and they're encouraging this shit. But I'm sure there's certain schools that must think other schools are just insane by having like trans teachers pumping that shit into kids' brains. Do you ever get approached?
No, because I think I'm probably on the hardline side of stuff. So I think if they were going to approach anyone, they'd choose someone a little more centre of this issue, which... Look, you either think men can be women or you don't. You either think that you should pump kids full of drugs or you don't. There's no middle ground really, but there are some people that maybe say it without saying they're all a bunch of perverts and fetishists.
Yeah, I think schools need you to do a tour and just speak some sense into them, because these kids are going to grow up really, really damaged. I mean, and it's insane that we even say that as if it's a surprise.
Yeah, and it's not just the kids that are damaged, as in directly, or their siblings, because you can blow up your whole family if you claim to be trans. It's all the kids in the school that know their teachers are lying and have to be quiet, or know that they have to go along with a lie, or be ostracised from all their friendship groups. So I think the damage is a lot wider than just those individual kids that are then forced to pretend to be trans or whatever.
Yeah, and since the last time we spoke, a lot has changed in all different spaces. I mean, the political space at the moment is it's toxic, it's insane, it's divisive. There's a lot of danger. We've got the unholy alliance now. So what do you think What's the biggest threat to women? Leftism or Islamism?
Islamism. By a country mile. But the left is going to open the door and welcome the Islamists in. And when I say Islamists, I mean Muslims. I mean, I think it's Islam, Islamism, Muslimism, like all of the things, they're all the same thing. They're all the same ideology. I don't think there's a difference between Islamism and Islam and Muslim. I think they're all the same.
Because you've been speaking more and more about Islam on X. I've been keeping a close eye on you.
Thanks.
What are your main concerns about the ideology?
Well, prior to these particular men in frocks of the trans, I was interested in the Muslim men in frocks for a long time, for the longest time. And then the trans stuff came on and I couldn't really talk about it anymore because then you're diluting your singular message. But it's so it's so wide what is wrong with Islam. We can start with the fact that the man that they revere, that they celebrate, that is like the most perfect of men, Mohammed, married a 6-year-old and raped her when she was 9. And so the foundation of their entire religion, which I think my husband thinks, well, is not wise for me to say, but the foundation of that entire religion is paedophilia. And I've heard many a conversation on this channel. They will justify how that's fine and it was a different time and it was a different place. And no, it wasn't. It was a child. Whatever. So that's one. Covered women, women's sexuality, women's freedom, family units, the fact that it's the final word of God. So everything in the Quran goes, which means marrying your cousin. And then you see it play out. So you could argue, and they do, oh yeah, but what about the Old Testament? Well, there aren't any countries set up around the Old Testament. And there are countries like Afghanistan, so now you can beat your wife. And in fact, I can't imagine that's anything worse for them. I had loads of women from Saudi Arabia talk to me. They can't even get married without asking their male cousin whether he wants to marry them. They're not allowed to go outside. I mean, I could go on, but fundamentally, it's the rights of children and the rights of women that will be totally erased and diminished.
So the Muslims I've had on here, I've had an imam, I've had a convert, they call revert. Well, I've had 2, but one takes it very, very serious, and he was on recently. And so when we go through some of the Prophet Muhammad's behaviour, I cannot for the life of me work out why they just can't denounce some of the things he's done and just admit the fact that certain bits he done wasn't perfect. Therefore, he isn't the perfect person. In fact, no one's the perfect person. And it blows my mind. Have you come to a conclusion why they just will not admit that he's not perfect? Because he isn't perfect. He wasn't perfect.
Yeah, it's called reciting the Quran 5 times a day. It's called continual brainwashing, cult behaviour. And you can't question any of it, because if you question any of it, it's all rubbish, which I think it is anyway. But so you can't, with fragile ideologies that require cult-like mentalities, you can't question any of it. It's a bit like the trans stuff. You can't say, well, that man's not a woman, because then you'll have to admit none of them are. And I think it's like they're very similar. It's a very similar thing. It's a pincer movement on women's rights in this country. So I think it's the cult brainwashing of this sort of instructive, prescriptive religion. And also because it is the final word of God. So they said that like there's no reformation. That you can't reform it. You can't question it, because this is the final word of God.
And another thing that blew my mind recently, so the imam and the convert that I've had on, their words, not mine, they agreed that the Prophet married Aisha when she was 6. And then, I mean, I hate even using the word consummate because we know what it was, but consummated the marriage at 9. And they've both said that. So that's the debate that we've had. Do you think that's okay? Would you have done it back then? Would you have intrinsically known that as a fully grown man, you wouldn't do that? You must know. Forget times were different back then. Something inside you would tell you this is the wrong thing to do. So it's not been disputed, the 6 and 9. But since that interview went out, I've had other Muslims inbox me saying, you need to get your facts right, pumping that shit out on your channel. Aisha wasn't 6, it wasn't 9, it was more like 17 or 18. And I'm like, well, that's something you lot need to discuss, not me. If I've got an imam telling me that she was 6 and then that despicable act took place at 9, then that's what I'm going with. I mean, because I think it's in the Hadith as opposed to the Quran. I think I did make a mistake. I did say it's in the Quran, but I think it's more in the Hadith. So, but if you get a slight detail wrong, that's it. You've got it all wrong. It's like, no. Minor discrepancies.
Well, millions upon millions of Muslims think that she was 6 and 9. So I'll take their word on it. If someone wants to give me absolute evidence that she wasn't, I doubt it very much, but I don't really care. I think enough of the Muslims, especially in mosques up and down this country, do actually think she was 6 and 9.
Do you think if we're going to have mosques in the UK, the Christian country that we are, I mean, although we are having churches convert to mosques, which I think is absolutely absurd, but do you think there should be CCTV with audio in every mosque in the UK?
Well, especially now, we've just got that 40 million going to mosques, Islamic centres and schools. And I think that should mean, if it's CCTV, that we get ultimate transparency. If we're going to, I don't think we should pay for it. There's an organisation called the 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞 Foundation. They seem to have a lot of money. They're paying for all the Ramadan lights, apparently. And so I think, and Muslims will boast that they give so much money to charity, their own charities, but they give a lot of their money to charity. So I think they should pay for it. But actually, yeah, if you want any of the taxpayers' money, we'll have a look at what you're doing. Thanks very much. And no call to prayer. And no praying outside.
Oh,
none.
Goodness me. I mean, that's not showing loyalty and love to your religion. That's dominance. That's letting the rest of us know they'll do what they like, where they like, outside Westminster.
They don't do it in Saudi. They don't pray outside in Saudi or the United Arab Emirates. They don't do it there.
Christians certainly don't over there.
No. Well, not ones with heads.
Yeah, see how you get on with that. That's what I mean. The hypocrisy and the double standards is obscene. And then when you sort of address it and say, look, we take umbrage to that, it's very un-Christian and it's not British and it's our culture that's king. They then play the victim card. Oh, we're oppressed, we're victimised, we're tarnished, we're targeted. It's like, no, you're taking the piss.
Yeah, but that's what they do until they have the large enough numbers. And then they won't be victims anymore. We will be, quite seriously.
Do you believe the stats? I mean, what they say now, 6% in the UK is a Muslim population. But, I mean, if you walk through Whitechapel, for example, or Bethnal Green or Tower Hamlets, it's hard to believe those stats.
Yeah, well, that's exactly why I've arranged a meeting of women in Whitechapel.
Oh, have you really? Oh, what's happening with that?
We're either going to march or we're just going to have a Let Women Speak. But because UKIP, you know, and I don't necessarily subscribe to UKIP's ideas. I couldn't tell you what they are, so I can confirm or deny. But when they got told that they couldn't do it because it was too dangerous, I thought, well, there are no-go areas then, aren't there? So let's go to those no-go areas and we'll find out if they genuinely are no-go. Because we're women, so they can't claim that there's going to be violence unless they want to admit that men will come out and threaten us.
I absolutely tip my hat to you. You've got bigger balls than most men. But if Christians aren't allowed to preach Christianity in certain areas because it offends Muslims, then that is a no-go area. That's irrefutable.
Yeah.
It's not like they're hanging on the streets policing everyone that's walking past saying turn back the other way, but they're doing it in a very subtle way, but it's certainly very definite and clear. Did you see the clip?
Yeah.
Where the policewoman, they're all moaning because someone's preaching Christianity and he's reciting verses from the Quran and the Bible, and then a whole group of Muslims are ranting and raving. It's the first police officer I've ever seen that didn't bow down to them and buckle and said, no, they're not in your home. It's freedom of speech. You get yours, he gets his. And I thought, about time.
Yeah, what I liked about that is there were a group of men, clearly not born here, with not English kind of regional homegrown accents saying, that man doesn't belong here. I just thought, this is ours. This is our community. And I was like, yeah, this is our country. And I might include some of those, well, I probably wouldn't. I would include all sorts of people in the our country bit. But I certainly wouldn't say that if I was living in China, I wouldn't say this is our community. We don't want that Chinese man preaching in our community.
No, it's insulting. It's complete. I mean, again, it's dominance. This is our area.
Yeah.
So no. You're a guest here in our area. Like you mustn't get that confused. And logically, I mean, do you see many feminists protest against the burqa, for example?
No.
Me neither. So logically, why do you think that? Because they should be out in force shouting from the rooftops about that garment.
Well, it's because it's brown people. So there's a lot of feminists, especially ones that make money, are what you might describe as liberal feminists. But even if they're not, the threat of being accused of being racist is far bigger. I mean, people keep saying, oh, it's nothing to do with that. It totally is, otherwise you'd be talking about it. If there was a white community, like a small religion, like there's Presbyterian or whatever, or there's Plymouth Brethren or something. Anyway, if that was a much larger cohort, say, taking up an area of Bristol, I think people would talk about it. It's the fact that it really is a very racist thing where you look at somebody else and the colour of their skin makes you decide whether or not they are capable of behaving like a rational human being. And, these things have consequences. Look at Pakistan. Pakistan was created because Muslims did the ultimate Darvo in India. And we were like, well, we'll cut a little bit off and you can have that then. Yeah,
you touch base on what's just been legitimised in Afghanistan. So you can beat your wife up to a pulp as long as you don't break the bones or pierce the skin. So, I mean, that means you can literally beat your wife to a pulp with your palms and leave her black and blue. And that is now in law, set in stone. That can happen.
Yeah.
I imagine being a woman over there, but I want to know what your concerns would be with that in mind about the influx of Afghan migrants we've got coming over here now.
Well, they're obviously great men, aren't they? Aren't they great? They come from that nice country, a bit like the Pakistani men who come from a country where there's little girls in rubbish bags on rubbish tips. But yeah, these particular men, I mean, it's not just Afghan men from Afghanistan. It's men from loads of those sorts of countries that come over here that are, can we say, savage, barbarians, just backward. And I just did a freedom of information because there's some of those at my son's college. So 16-year-olds, they don't know how many are in that college because they don't make a record of how many of these migrants are in colleges with our children. Paid for by us. In fact, some of them will arrive about 2 weeks and then they're in college doing whatever course. And there's a group of them that hang around near my son's college. So I went and asked and I was told, oh yeah, they're enrolled. Like, oh, isn't this great? No, it's not, love. No, it's not. But obviously when you come from a culture like that, those dinghies aren't magic. They don't change you into a nice person. No. You don't suddenly go, well, I want women where I come from to be totally shrouded. In fact, I don't want to see them on the street. They're not allowed to speak in public to each other. They're not allowed to look out of windows just in case somebody sees their face. I can't imagine what it must be like for a woman in Afghanistan. You know, men are more likely to be sexually flirtatious with like a 6-year-old boy than his own wife. Because if his own wife is sexually flirtatious, I would imagine she gets a good kicking. And then they come over here and you've got women, you know, with showing their hands and everything and their faces. These men must find it really difficult to control themselves and, in fact, probably don't.
Have you got many migrant hotels near where you live?
No.
So you've not been subjected to that influx because we've got a few of them around here where they congregate, which is quite intimidating anyway. And I was speaking to a mum at a protest and she showed me her phone and there was a recording of 4 migrant men from the hotel. They were recording 2 girls in the park in the field. So he's now got migrant men in the country that we're paying for and they're recording young girls and still nothing's being done about it. What do you think about the shift from hotels to army barracks?
If they were contained and not allowed to leave the barracks, as in that would be somewhere where they're processed and then sent away pretty damn quick because we know they're not really escaping asylum. We know they're not escaping some sort of terrible situation. They're just here. But I think we all have to accept that no one cares. And they're here for numbers and for our gross domestic product. And nobody cares if they're going to rape your daughter. They don't care if they're going to totally destroy your community. That's not remotely important for the people that are making these migrants arrive on our shores.
Yeah, until it happens to them. And I pray it doesn't, but that's the only way their minds are ever going to change. Although I actually asked a guy at a protest who was all for these migrants being housed in Crowborough with a population of 22,000, and they're plonking between 600 and 900 illegal migrant men in this army barracks. I mean, the town hasn't got the infrastructure for it. It's not built for an influx of men like that with a completely different ideology. And I said to this guy that was protesting against the people that are protesting against the migrants, I said, okay, like, if one of those men raped your daughter, would it change your stance? Would your position changed if one of those men raped your daughter? He said no.
Oh, what a hero. What a great man.
What a maniac. Do you still get much backlash for your activism?
Yes and no, in subtle ways.
Because you've had groups of people attack you, shout in your face. I mean, you're no stranger to like the Stand Up to Racism crew, for example.
Yeah, I made Hope Not Hate quite a few years running.
And you was once on the left, weren't you?
I was, yeah.
Yeah. When did that flip take place? And what was the moment that made you think, actually, I don't belong on the left anymore. This is where I'm best situated?
2016, I wrote about it, called Grieving the Left, and how I realised. And I still don't know. I don't know whether the left really changed or whether I did. I mean, I am 51, so that often happens that you go a little bit further to the right. But I was a Thatcher fan as a kid, and I probably, before I could have ever voted, I was quite conservative. And I've always been socially conservative. And I voted for Blair. I mean, was Blair really on the left? I don't know that he was. But I don't know whether I was wrong the whole time or whether they changed. And I guess when you have a look at Liberty, so the organisation that enabled a couple of PI members to join, and Harriet Harmond was in that, and they were taking payments, I think, or some sort of membership, but there's some sort of loose connection with paedophilia in the 1970s and 80s and the left. So maybe they just hid it for a while and now they've reared their ugly heads again.
So it's safe to say that you're securely on the right-hand side of politics.
Yes, I am.
Is there any parts of right-wing politics that you don't agree with?
Yes, there is. There's this new kind of, if you're not white and Christian, you're not British. I find that quite objectionable. Any of my kids could marry someone who isn't white. Mm-hmm. Like my husband's white, so my kids are white, and all our ancestors are white. But I can't think for a moment that I would go, oh, well, my grandchild's mixed race, therefore not really British. I just can't get on board the colour of that. And people have talked about it a lot. Like, I'm English. I'm ethnically English, but I'm British national. And I think it's a culture, it's a frame of mind. It's, it's just the way you behave, whether or not you're British, and where you're born, maybe. But I think you can become British. It's just an attitude.
Yeah, and I hope the audience realise that I'm sat opposite a very, very intelligent woman. So that answer should be taken notice of, because there's a lot of these F-nats beating that you're going home drum if you're black, brown or yellow. And for me, I think the whole you can become British culturally and mentally because your attitude controls your altitude. And I know a lot of foreign people that contribute so much. They've assimilated, they pay their tax, they support that, they protect my friends, my family. I've worked the door with them, they've saved my arse. And I guarantee some of these F-nats, not only are they missing teeth, they probably never worked a day in their life. It's like, well, which one would you rather be in the country? The sponging F-nat or the contributing African?
Yeah, I agree. And I really don't like that. And
I'll get so much stick just for that statement.
I know.
You watch.
Someone said to me the other day, oh, you're a traitor. You should be defending white people. And I'm just like, I just can't. I just don't see it's productive. It's ridiculous. Never trust someone who can bite into a curly whirly and not hit any chocolate.
I mean, I want white people to be the predominant race. I don't want us to be replaced, which looks like, it is happening in real time if you go back from 1980 to now. But we have done that. So I do think the F-nats have got a good argument, but they need to learn how to argue without just insulting people. Yeah. They're not going to get heard.
You can't just say to individual people, you're going back. Oh, brilliant.
I can't subscribe to that. Foreign criminals, absolutely. Get the fuck out. You're not welcome
you got a
here.
dual passport.
Yeah,
bugger
off you go. If you're not contributing, if you're out over here like sucking the teat of our generosity and we're just pumping you full of benefits, you can fuck off as well. No problem there.
Yeah.
Absolutely off your trot. But contributing people that have come from another country and they've embraced and they're grateful for the opportunities that we've given and they've really gone into it double time and given back. I think great. Yeah, we need some of that. But so remigration, that's a hot topic at the moment. What are your thoughts on that? And what percentage do you think should be white nationals in the UK? That's a tricky question.
I don't know if that's productive at the moment. I think the first thing we need to do is we need to ask ourselves, how are we going to make sure the Islamification of this country does not happen? I think that's where we need to be focusing our energy.
Is that your main bone of contention at the moment?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's the least... Like, I'm not saying the Chinese necessarily or any other culture. I don't mean to pick on the Chinese, but I'm not saying that they live in... they don't sort of keep to a community, but they're not expansive. They're not trying to recruit other Chinese people into their Chinese. Same as the Vietnamese. Like, there's lots of people that are here that might not change their culture all that much, but they still feel a bit British. That is not the same with many of the Muslim population. And it's Muslim first for Muslims. In order to be a good Muslim, it's Muslim first. They're a globalist cult. So globalist death cult, if we're being kind. And so I think we need to focus on that. Strategically, I do things like ban halal.
I was going to ask you, how do we manage it? Apart from the obvious, stop the boats, stop the benefits, how do we manage Islam in the UK?
Well, no super mosque, because I think what they do is they build a mosque and then it's a bit like the Kevin Costner movie, Field of Dreams. It's like, if you build it, they will come. Well, if you build a super mosque, then they're all going to move near the super mosque. So I think none of that. I think we're going to have to think about how we ban prayers in the street, because obviously Christians might stand and pray, but it's not the same. And we've got all these rules about tolerance because we anticipate that everybody has got the same standards of tolerance. And they don't. We are not the same. We are not the same. So ban halal, ban all religious slaughter. I'm not particularly prejudiced on that. No more super mosques. In fact, no super mosques. No call to prayer. No multi-faith prayer rooms. Like, if you can't pray before you leave the house, stay home.
You wouldn't catch me getting on my knees 5 times a day.
But that's how Mohammed recruited, wasn't it? That's how this has all happened. And you have to recite stuff. Like, you haven't got any room to... How are you going to have an independent thought if 5 times a day you're having to do that?
Scientologists, they call that machine gunning. No, drilling, sorry. They drill you. Drill. Same message on repeat. Boom, 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 until it's so embedded in your brain you can't think of anything else. I don't think people realise just how dangerous these ideologies and these cult-like religions are.
It's not like they could look at Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq, or any places where it's taken over. And I think Saudi, like, we have this idea that Saudi and Qatar and all these other places are great, but that's because they're full of rich people. So those rich people don't have to do the same as everybody else. I don't know if they even pray 5 times a day in Saudi. I'm assuming they must. But women are still subjected to the same sort of shit in all of those countries. There's not in Iraq, I think they changed the age you could marry a girl to 9. In Iran, it's 10.
Yeah, that's insane. Another thing I asked the Muslim convert, I put a comment on something that he posted. Again, he's lambasting anybody that's critical of Islam. And I said, what people are concerned of and what they're trying to prevent is a 1979 Iran-style Islamic revolution. And he said, well, that would never happen here. And when I asked him, well, how are you so sure that will never happen here? His answer was, it was a politician's response. It was deflection, diversion, word salad. Like, if we were to simplify it, if it can happen there, of course it can happen here.
Yeah, if somebody said to him, well, we're going to have Sharia, he's not going to go, no, don't do it, it'll ruin this country, is he, if we get to that tipping point?
Oh, he wants Sharia. And I asked him, I said, what comes first, country or Islam? And he said Islam. I said, well, you put Islam before country. And he didn't say yes. He went, no, I put Islam before myself, before my family. So again, it was like word salad trickery. He said no, but then he's contradicted himself and he's given the real answer, which is, I put Islam before the country.
Yeah.
So if we've got more and more Muslims coming in and there's civil unrest or civil war, who do you think these people are going to turn against? It's us.
Is it Turkey that they're supposed to be, I don't know, forward-thinking Muslims and something like 70% believe in killing someone if they leave the faith? I mean, ask ex-Muslims if you want to, ask the Iranians if you want to know what happens when Islam comes and takes over your country.
Well, there was somebody, and Speaker's Corner, you're very familiar with, obviously, the work that you do there. And I'm not going to mention his name, so I'm not going to give him the recognition. But very recently, a video was going around. There's a guy, Muslim, I would say he's an Islamist, and he's talking to another guy who's an ex-Muslim, and he left the faith and he become Christian. And you want to see how rattled the Islamist becomes, to the point when he says, under the Sharia, apostasy, you'd be killed, bruv. You get capital punishment. And then he responded with, what, you'd kill me? He said, and I'll be proud of it. And I'll be proud of it. And he kept, and then he couldn't control himself. So anyone that's in any doubt that doesn't take place or that's not what they want, go and YouTube that.
Yeah.
You can just put in there, I don't know, Muslim man at Speaker's Corner celebrates apostasy.
Yeah, he was so rattled, he sounded like a moron, didn't he?
So do you know the video I'm talking about then? Yeah, I won't mention his name because he always messages me and I thought, nah, fuck it, I'm not even mentioning your name because you're not that important.
Maybe his wife could give you a call.
Yes. Yeah. See if
she's allowed the phone.
If she'll have to ask his permission, speak through the face covering. So,
she can do it on a whiteboard.
Yes,
Sorry.
Yes, we do know exactly who we're talking about here. So Tommy Robinson is another man that's been critical of Islam for years, well ahead of the curve, I would say.
Yes.
And I think the roles have now reversed. People see that he's not the boogeyman that he was portrayed to be, to the point where he's just been invited out to the United States, which is great because he can just keep pushing for change wherever he goes. But you was at his last event, Unite the Kingdom.
Yes.
How did you find that?
It was really interesting to be in such a large group of people with such good manners. It was really interesting. I was with you two and just lots of sorry, excuse me, are you okay? Sorry, excuse me, you all right, love?
Yeah.
There was all of that. So I felt very much a woman. And it was really nice, wasn't it? It was really happy, joyful, and then very wet. But it was
Cool.
It was very good. And I met up with Hannah, who is the wife of Brian Tamiki, the New Zealand guy.
Right.
So she'd been messaging me since I went out to New Zealand and had that exciting episode where I nearly got killed.
Yeah, I was going to actually compare the two because anyway, again, you can research when you got absolutely mobbed, almost lynched, raised off your feet. You had to get into the car. You had to escape from a crowd that were all going for you. So you compare that to Unite the Kingdom. Did you feel safe?
I did feel safe, and I thought one of the really interesting things was looking at how Sadiq Khan and the Met talked about the Unite the Kingdom rally, in which there were some arrests, but it wasn't actually. Most of the arrests weren't people that were attending the rally. They were the protesters, and how they talk about, oh, well, you know, when what's that awful carnival I would never go to?
Notting Hill.
Yeah, and all the things that happened there and
Stag.
how, well, you know, what do you expect? Everyone had so much fun, except the people that got knifed. But everyone had so much fun. So, but I thought it was really nice, and hopefully it's going to be somewhere that can contain more people.
I think Hyde Park
time.
would be a good option.
And will he get permission?
Do you know what? Things are happening that I never thought would. So you never ever know. Never say never the way things are going, because they are peaceful gatherings. They're more like festivals. You know, there's when I'm up on the stage and I'm always scanning the place more for security reasons anyway, and I'm sort of, it pays to be paranoid now. But as I'm looking around, sort of mapping the crowd out, loads of women, loads of children. Families. Like, long are the days where it's just football people shouting and screaming. It's like we've got people singing hymns playing guitar on the stage. It's just a lovely, lovely occasion. And to think that the mainstream media don't give it the coverage it deserves, or they actually play it down and make out there wasn't as many people there as there actually was. I just think, what a shame. Like millions of people actually uniting together, being peaceful, harmonious, full of love and joy. They just want better. They just want to be seen and heard.
Yeah, well, if you look at history, like who are the people that, those same people would talk favourably about other sort of revolutions throughout history, and it's always the uprising of the working classes. And then when the working class are in their own time, they hate them. But they would sort of talk about things that have happened throughout British history and say, oh, look, wasn't that wonderful? Or all the men that lost their lives in the wars. Like, they're not posh men, are they?
No, and that's it. I think where the working class have been forgotten about and dismissed, and the political snobbery that that Parliament looks down their nose at the working class. And it infuriates me so much, because if we went to war, all of a sudden the working class would be very favourable.
Yeah.
They'd be begging for the scaffolders and the bricklayers to rise and fight a war for people that don't really like them. Yeah, that frustrates me.
I'm hoping it will come to bite those people in the arse eventually, those in power.
I think it will. It has to. It's how do you think Starmer even got in?
Fabian Society is dodgy as hell, isn't it?
Yeah, I've had Professor Norman Fenton on and asked him all about the Fabian Society. So that's, I covered that. And it was interesting because I didn't really know the depth and the layers and the origins of the Fabian Society. So, yeah, that wolf in sheep's clothing logo they have is like, pay attention. They're letting you know.
Well, I was a long, long time ago when I first started doing this, I was interviewed by someone, and his brother had done some piece where he'd actually been on a crucifix and got nails through him. So I think they were had quite a disturbed family upbringing. But he claimed his parents were Fabians and they were subjected to some terrifying abuse.
Yeah, see, the things that go on behind closed doors. Do you believe in like all these satanic rituals that are spoken about?
Yeah.
Like the whole...
Almost every last one of them.
Really?
Yeah. And I don't necessarily believe in Satan, but I think they do.
What's that? Where they drink the child, so they put a child in distress, then drink its blood.
Adrenochrome.
Yeah, adrenochrome. So like they obviously the fear induces adrenaline, then the blood makes you drink it and it makes you younger or reverses ages or.
The Chinese eat an animal when it's in pain because it makes the meat sweeter. So they'll boil a cat alive so they can, because then the meat's sweeter because of the adrenaline. So that's a known thing. Sandra Bullock was on Ellen and she was talking about a facial and it's a bit like the one with the little tiny needles.
Right.
And one of the ingredients is the circumcised penis bit of Korean boys.
What do they call that? The schmuck?
I've no idea.
Yeah.
Is there a name for it?
Well, I think the foreskin that gets removed, the excess skin, the Jews call it a schmuck.
Oh, is that where that comes from?
Yeah.
I'd ban that tomorrow as well, circumcision. I'd ban that in a heartbeat.
Fucking rabbis nibbling foreskins off. It's like, no thanks.
Yeah, sometimes when I criticise Islam, someone goes, what about that? And I go, yeah, that's bad as well.
Yeah, it's all weird.
Yeah, I don't have when it comes to things I object to, my cup is not full.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I'll include that. Yes, and Epstein. Yes, and Jimmy Savile and all the white paedophiles. Yeah, all of them.
On the subject of Epstein, have you gone down a rabbit hole on that? Is there anybody that you think needs to be careful or we're going to hear about down the line?
Yeah, no one that I'd name, Liam. But I think most things are true. That's what I think.
No smoke without fire.
No,
attitude.
He might have been a paedophile. That's not his main business. His main business clearly is espionage. It's clearly just entrapping people. Like the Masons did it. David Cameron put his penis in a dead pig's head. Like the posh people have always done that sort of stuff. They won't beat somebody. Well, not somebody that's a peer. They won't, like if you got annoyed with someone or if someone did something to offend you, then you might have a go at them. But if you're posh, you'll just have something on them. And they got something on you.
Yeah.
And you can destroy their lives without ever speaking to them. You can destroy them. So I think that's the power dynamic, isn't it? That's how they've always done that, like the Bullingdon Club and all the other things, the Masons.
That's another rabbit hole you can go down and...
I've just heard too many things over the years, like... you can buy, I'm pretty sure I said this last time I was here, but you can buy certain sexual things. And I think you just get to a boundary, and then what's the next frontier? Well, raping kids. I mean, I wouldn't do it, you wouldn't do it, but I think more people than we care to imagine would.
Yeah, there's probably far more people than we think that have got them sinister, dark, perverted thoughts. And I suppose you think about something, you fantasize about something long enough, especially if you feel like you're bulletproof because you're a billionaire, eventually you're going to dip your toes in, aren't you?
All the missing kids in America, there's hundreds of thousands of them. Where are they?
Yeah, go missing every year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when I was younger and I used to hear about missing people, I'd always think, well, how does that happen? And if they've been killed and murdered, like with forensics and CCTV and like all the technology we've got now, how do people still go missing and never get found? And how do these people not get caught? Because somewhere they're going to leave a footprint, or they're going to make a mistake, or they're going to tell somebody. Because that's normally how people get caught. They'll tell someone, and then that's it. Like,
I mean, I think we've always known with the grooming gangs, we've always known that there's police, social work. There's loads of people that benefit from that also rape those girls. Like, that's how they got away with it for so long. It's not just about racism. It's not just about not raising the alarm. It's about people in positions of power that it wasn't good for them to raise the alarm.
Just before I go to the recent trans massacres over in the States, because that's obviously your wheelhouse, isn't it? The whole trans thing. Did you get any backlash for attending United Kingdom from anyone?
Yeah, I think so. I met a journalist, a really nice man, actually. I won't name him because I actually think the work he's done, despite what he said to me, the work he's done is just too important, and he's brilliant. But he's like, I was heartbroken when I saw you.
Really?
Behind her. I was like, well, we don't really know each other for you to be heartbroken.
Yeah.
Actually.
Bit familiar.
Yeah. Like, I've only just met you. I said, well, we don't really know each other. And if you don't know that I'm not the sort of woman that I'll go wherever I want, despite whatever guilt association somebody might accuse me of, like, then you don't know anything about me. I said, look, you find me something that Tommy Robinson has done that is worse than the crimes that he's telling the world about, I'll agree with you. And he's like, mortgage fraud. And I was like, we got our first mortgage in the 90s, early 2000s. Everybody did a bit of mortgage fraud.
Well, yeah.
I don't even know what I've never even looked into what his convictions are. I couldn't give a shit.
You could literally tell your broker whatever figure you wanted. I earn this. Okay, no questions asked.
We had friends who had like 120% mortgages. You know, I was like, everybody pretended everything. Like, so I don't care about that.
Also, there's more to it than that. He lent his cousin money, and his cousin got a mortgage, and they linked it back to Tom and banged him up because he was enemy of the state. That was
You know what? I don't even care if he defrauded a bank. I don't care. It's not important, because it's only going to be someone who's slightly on the wrong side of 100% right all the time, who's ever going to put their head above the parapet. If you're worried about everything, that you're completely 100% law-abiding, always do the right thing, you're not going to talk about the grooming gangs. You're not going to raise that because you don't want to lose whatever perfect life you've got. So I don't care about that. But I just said to him, look, and he said something about racism. And I was like, find me the evidence. Just look for it yourself. I don't need you to prove it to me. Just look for it yourself. I don't care. But I said to him, but my last comment on this is, find me something he's done that's worse than raping, the gang rape of girls. That's it.
Yeah, then we'll have a conversation.
And then he named me as somebody in another woman who spoke at one of my events, lost her career, which has happened to quite a few women that have spoken at my events. And he wrote something about me and then said, is accused of being far right. And I was like, that's like saying, oh, she's accused of being a paedophile. Then people are going to go, well, she's probably far right then. She's accused of being far right. She's probably far right. So I was very cross about that. So that's one of the things. And other people have mentioned stuff, but I don't care.
And then anyone that knows you and follows your work knows that you don't care.
No,
you'll do what you want when you want, and you stand by your word and your morals, which is fucking great. The UK needs more women like you.
Well, yeah.
But speaking of women, trans women, we've had recent killing sprees over in the States. It looks like, because the whole sort of trans thing, certainly for me after I last saw you, it seems to sort of die down a little bit. And recently there's been a spike, like kids as young as 4 now, you know, if they want to be identified as another sex in school. That looks like that bill's being pushed through, which is fucking insane. It's child abuse. But then these 2 killing sprees in the States by these trans. Like, how does the trans ideology, movement, groupthink, how do we manage that?
I think you just have to say no. I think we have to get it out of the institution. So I guess that's a fight that goes on. But with the killing, I think entitled men, controlled by sexual fetish, I think for the younger men in particular, I mean, what are they going to do to their mum and dad and everybody when they find out that there is no vagina at the end of the rainbow? Like, and they're never going to look in the mirror and see a woman, because they're not.
No.
They might pretend sometimes that they can masturbate long enough to it and pretend. But can you imagine if you're a teenage boy and your parents allow you to get cross-sex hormones and your penis doesn't grow after like the age of 10, so you've got a child's penis, and then you get to the end of it and you realise you're never actually going to be a woman, but you're also never going to have an erection or fancy anyone. No sexual function whatsoever. I mean, I'd feel quite murderous.
I was going to say, yeah, is that the link? That constant undertone of frustration and resentment to the world?
Yeah, but killers is often a fetishy thing. Like serial killers can start with sexual fetish. So they can start with flashing, then it moves on to something more serious, and then it might be rape, and then it turns into murder. And we used to know that there was a path that they would follow. And then we pretend that we don't know that anymore. But these particular men, one was just a typical domestic violence, domestic abusive man who was pissed off with his ex-wife. And I think the son got in the way of him killing his ex-wife. Right. But he was very envious. You do find some of these men do end up trying to dress and appear like their wives. In fact, some women talk about it, that they'll feel like these men are watching them to mimic them, like when they're married to them.
Right.
And then they and you see it online, that the guy will end up having the same sort of hair as his wife. I mean, if she doesn't leave, and maybe even if she does.
Men morphing into their wives.
Yeah, all their mothers.
Oh, yes, you said that before. Yeah, the whole mummy issue thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, bizarre. And what would you... This is important because I'm sure more and more kids are coming back from school telling their parents that they John wants to be called Loretta, for example. What advice would you give parents whose children are coming home saying that they're trans?
I mean, this is where the formative years come in. So just spend as much time with your kids when they're little, and then you have a bond. But I think what's happened is sometimes those parents don't have that bond, so they can't say no because they don't have the authority over their children. That's what I think has happened.
They've become friends rather than parents.
Yeah, it's a boundary push, and those kids maybe don't have enough boundaries, and so they find one, and then their parents still let them down.
It's serious, because the end result of that, if you don't pull them, especially something like that when they're talking about being a sex that they're not, I mean, years down the line, it could be absolutely catastrophic. Well, it will be.
Yeah.
Start lobbing bits off of their body that they can never get put back.
Well, if your kid's a teenager, then I think you just have to not indulge any of it and just say you're not going to go along with it. If they're under a teenager, it's your problem and you're completely at fault. That's what I think.
And do you think the education system are actually pushing the trans ideology?
Yes.
And why do you think they're doing that? Where's that stem from?
Oh, I think it's a load of people who think they know better than parents about people's children. I think it's been going on for a really, really long time, of this idea that, like, school is loco parentis. They're not supposed to be the authority over those children. They're supposed to be looking after your kids while you don't. And I think we didn't have too much circle time. I don't know about you, but we didn't have too much. You might have had a PSHE lesson once a week for about maybe half an hour, where you might have discussed something like abortion or some other thing. But now they're trying to teach morality to kids, and I don't think it's their place. Teach them to read and write, bit of critical thinking, thanks very much, and leave the rest to just make them good learners. That's the only job of a school, is to make children love learning with a good, hefty dose of discipline. The rest of it doesn't work.
It's all very liberal, though, isn't it, the education system?
Yeah, it's full of, women. So I think, and no scary teachers. Like at my children's school, there was no scary teachers. Like we had a deputy head. So we had an old lady headmistress at my junior school. And in fact, at my other school, they were both, at my infant school, she was unmarried and you just wouldn't have messed with her. But she was also lovely. But if you overstepped, you'd be in big trouble. And you might have had one naughty kid a class. And you got stickers if you were genuinely good, like above and beyond. Whereas we've really screwed up how we deal with children. Like we also had a teacher, usually a teacher per table in the dining hall. And I only went to a normal school. Well, you don't get that now. You get children kind of like almost in troughs, long line of kids in a noisy environment where they don't have to use knives and forks even. Like it's mad.
The scary teacher thing you said is so bang on. And I said this, it could have even been on a podcast, but I'll say it anyway. But when I was at school, there was a PE teacher. I fucking hated him because I considered him to be a bully. Physical, shouted, put the fear of God into you. You certainly behaved around him. And I hated him. And now I look back and think, God, the education system needs men like him back in there. Law, order, boundaries, no messing around. And yeah, how would that ever come back now?
I don't know.
Kids have now got lines they can ring if like they feel like they're being mistreated by slightly. I mean, it's good that they've got that if they're being abused, but like if a teacher shouts at you,
yeah, but is that the purpose of that call? I don't know.
What do you think?
That whole thing? Was that somebody said once that they felt the lines were being set up to screen, not help?
Oh, really? Why do you think there's so much perversion within liberal society?
Is there perversion everywhere? I think there probably is. Is there like the royalty, the epitome of the aristocrats? Perverse? Probably. I think it's everywhere. I think if you look at the clergy, like the priests have been perverts. I think probably they're just more perverts than we care to imagine. However, liberals don't hide it so much. They want us to accept it, whereas maybe the less liberal people just want to hide it and do it in secret. Whereas I think liberals want everyone to accept it.
They justify it where the others know they're doing wrong. Like it makes you wonder who's worse. I mean, they're all filth, of course.
Let's just put them all on an island together.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, bring back the death penalty for anyone that does anything to a child like that.
Yeah, well, the stocks. The stocks would be good because then we could all get a little taste of revenge.
Public viewing.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely. Who have we got today?
I mean, I do sometimes think, like my husband and I have had conversations about it before, and I think I'm far more violent because I can visualise what I would do to someone if I caught them doing anything to my kids or anyone's kids. Like alone, it's slow, it'd be torturous, painful, you know, really just endless. He's much nicer.
You look so innocent. Secret psycho. So before I ask the final question, I'm very interested to hear your answers to this one. Where can people find you and your work? Where are your main platforms? Have you got anything coming up that you want to let my audience know you're doing? Yeah,
well, come along. We're planning this women's assembly. It's not just for women, it'll be mainly women, and that's going to be in Whitechapel, and you can find all that on letwomenspeak.org, or I'm on Twitter at the Posy Parker.
YouTube?
I am on YouTube, yeah, Kellie-Jay Keen.
Okay, we'll put
too many names.
We'll put all your links in the description anyway. But I think that Whitechapel thing you're going to do is I certainly won't be missing that. I encourage everybody to watch that because that could get quite out of control. Yeah, well, it might just be me on my own. You never know. Because I think a lot of women are quite afraid. Yeah. Will you still do it on your own? Yes. If needs be? Yeah. Look, we have a few more years where we can do this. Yeah. And then we won't be able to. Yeah, we're running out of time. Yeah, and I've got 4 kids. Like I want to live in a country that, you know, when it's my last few days on this earth, that I look around and think, it's okay. It's going to be all right for my grandchildren. It's going to be all right for my kids. Yeah. See, for me, there'd be nothing worse than sitting at the table in 20 years' time, talking to people and thinking, I sat back and didn't do anything. At least, like, if we all do a little bit of something, it'll make a hell of a difference because hopefully it inspires other people or encourages them. Just do a little bit. Just call things out. You know injustice when you see it. You've all got social media and phones. Just say what you see. I think
going and taking up space, which is a wanky term, but that's kind of being somewhere and saying, I am here and I will be here and I exist in this space. I am allowed here. I think that's really powerful. And that might be one of the few kind of bits of protest that we have left.
So the final question, your thoughts on this. Do you think Prince Andrew will see the four walls of a jail cell?
Well, he might do a bit of a pop his clogs himself, mightn't he? He might try and escape the shame of it all. I hope he's not the only one, actually. I hope that anyone who knew anything about his activities, it could be the end of the monarchy.
He strikes me as the sort of person that would sing like a canary if he thought...
That's what I think.
Yeah, I think he's a very weak, pathetic man, and I just can't see him being... staunch. I mean, what a fucking word to associate with Prince Andrew, staunch, but I just can't see him sort of remaining silent. I think if he can throw other people under the bus to get him off the hook, that's how I think he'll do it. So I'm really going to keep a close eye on, see what escalates from this.
Well, he had a really bad reputation, didn't he? And when he was in the Navy, he's like really deeply unpleasant, entitled.
Yeah.
I mean, for all the things you can say about Harry, apparently Harry was a bit mucking, and people liked Harry. Whether or not I agree with him, I don't know. But Andrew, I think, has always just been an awful person.
Yeah, and I've heard that from several people that used to work in Buckingham Palace doing security. Like anyone that I've spoke to that actually knew him, even if like they put his teddy bear like in the wrong direction on his bed, he'd blow his top and talk to you like you was shit on his shoe. So I'm glad he's feeling a bit of pressure. Just the fact that he went over to the States to visit Epstein after he'd been convicted for paedophilia. That tells me everything I need to know. You needed to go there to have a conversation in person, so there was no paper trail. You're fucking hiding something. And even if you weren't, the fact that you're going over there to see a convicted nonce, you're morally bankrupt. So for all of those reasons,
yes.
I wish him the worst.
More on the country and less on him, I guess. But whilst our government was saying that Mandelson should have access to state secrets, and knowing that he had... gone to see Epstein, and Starmer sort of said, didn't he, we didn't know the extent. Well, you knew it was something. Like, surely that should have been, who should we have? Someone that's got some icky connection to a paedophile, convicted paedophile, or someone that isn't. Let's have the one that isn't. At the same time, our police forces were recording women like me calling men as non-crime hate incidents. We were having police records set up at the same time as our government was saying it's all right for someone connected to a child rapist. And I think the people in power, who might not even be the government, the people behind the government, couldn't hate us enough.
Yeah, what a crazy country to live in where your own government hates you and don't even pretend to keep it a secret or under wraps. And where do you go from here?
Well, I created a movement of women that are saying the unsayable. Like, it was unsayable to say that men could not be women when I started all of this. And I think that now that I have to use my platform, I mean, banning the niqab is something I really want to pursue properly. Maybe politics, but I'd like the right not to split right now. And I think they're in very danger of clutching defeat from the jaws of victory.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, I'll be cheering you on. And if you want to cheer Kelly on, follow all her platforms, look at her work. It's impressive, it's ballsy, it's courageous. And like and subscribe this channel so I can keep bringing wonderful guests on as I have done today. Takes you 2 seconds, costs you 0. And I'll put a thumbnail here somewhere for you to click and watch another one. Let's just keep it rolling. And thank you, my love.
Thanks.
Let's go and have something to eat with that handsome hunk in the corner that comes every time you're here and confirms just how violent you are.
Thanks.
Thank you, my love.
Thank you.
Cheers.